What's up? What's up, everybody? Hello. Everybody's having a good weekend. It is myself, joined by the ever funky Omega Welltall. And I say funky, not like a smell, like, just bring
70s funk. Even though I was born in 82, not quite.
Right. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to do a couple of updates quickly about this weekend before we get into Ahsoka episode 5, which, by the way, holy crap. But yesterday, there was supposed to be an after party. It didn't happen. There was a lot of issues. I was actually going to stream with Omega yesterday, but there was some hiccups that happened. So we ended up doing it today, which glad you guys could be here. Thank you guys so much for coming in and joining us. Get some questions about Paigey. Look, I don't know any more about Paigey than you guys do. I told you what I know. He's moving.
Oh, yeah.
He's moving from one city to another, like major moving. So until I hear back from him, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that, he's taking care of some stuff. So there's that. When I hear anything from Paigey that I can share with everyone, I will let them know. The after party will be returning next Saturday. And if Paigey has not returned by then, right. If he's not returned by then, I'll drag Omega in and we'll do a after party on Saturday, talk about some other stuff. There really hasn't been a lot of news. That's the issue. Like, there isn't a lot of stuff to talk about. And the thing is that I've been sitting around, like, thinking about videos to make and stuff. And I'm like, there's just no news. So I don't know. I mean, I can't wait to review The Boys with you. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. God, that's right. When is that starting back?
The end of this month. I think it's like a week away, maybe around a week away.
I didn't know it was that soon. All right, let's go.
And you have Prime, right?
Yes.
Have you seen the trailer for that yet?
I've seen bits and pieces of a trailer.
We can't show it here because
of course not.
But I will say this: it looks like what if the Mutant Training Academy was in the world of The Boys.
Oh, right. I thought that was like an offshoot, like a kind of like a spinoff show. So that's actually going to be season 4. Okay.
Yeah, pretty excited about it.
Oh, that's what's up.
So Omega and I will be reviewing that as well. We'll probably figure a day for that to do a live stream because you guys like live streams better than recorded stuff. So I think we're going to just do it live from now.
Do it live.
We're going to do it live. Yeah, every single time. So anyway, all right. So we're talking about Ahsoka season 1, episode 5. We are swimming through the series, and this one was quite the episode. And I said this before we started the stream when Omega and I were going over my notes, and I think this is probably the episode that needed the most like history.
Homework.
Yeah. Would you agree with that based on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like as soon as the flashback, which we're going to get into, as soon as that come on, I was just like, oh, what I wouldn't give for a live action Clone Wars.
I saw a lot of people saying that. We're going to go through all the little Easter eggs and stuff at the end as well. I have some notes for Easter eggs. But so we left on the cliffhanger last week that Anakin was existing in the world between worlds, which was a point of contention with a lot of people. They were very upset that it wasn't Darth Vader, that it was Anakin, which, surprise, surprise, we get shades of Darth Vader in this as well.
Which if they're complaining about that, this is taking place well after Return of the Jedi comes out, and at this point, Vader has already reconciled with Luke, and he's Anakin Skywalker. Even though it was for like maybe 30 minutes, he was himself again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense for him to come back as Anakin, who he was before. So why are y'all complaining?
The other thing is that we talked about it. Canonically, this series takes place about 10 years after Rebels, right? So it's about a decade after Rebels. And so there's a lot of stuff that has transpired in that 10 years, obviously, that we're not privy to. And so our characters have changed quite a bit. But in that world between worlds, time doesn't seem to matter. And we see that when we go back to like some of the other battles that have happened in this universe. And we see Ahsoka going with Anakin all the way back to the Clone Wars. Were you surprised to see that?
No, when it came back, because I kind of figured especially when you go into the world between worlds, I was pretty sure like, yeah, they're probably gonna do some flashbacks here and there. I didn't know they're gonna go back to pretty much their first mission together.
Right. So another thing was, and we talked about this before, this is one of my Easter eggs, but I do want to bring it up here because I think it's quite important, is, and you didn't even know this when I brought this up, the actress that plays young Ahsoka also played young Gamora, and I believe her name, I want to get her name right, is Ariana Greenblatt. So we got a little Marvel Star Wars crossover there with her playing both characters. I thought she did a great job.
Oh yeah, she was great.
And
oh yeah, especially they did some. She must have trained in some choreography because once we're going through the flashback, especially once you get to the siege of Mandalore, and she was just slicing through those Mandalorian soldiers, like she was tearing ass. Yeah, so I was like, ooh, the choreography was great on this. She did a good job.
Another thing is that I feel like she was showing us that Ahsoka was too young to be in all of this, to be dealing with.
Yes, absolutely. And this really paints if you ask me, this really paints the Jedi in a bad light. It's like, yeah, you got a galactic civil war in your hands, but you're really going to send child soldiers to fight this?
Yeah. Not only that, but someone that ends up being in charge of other soldiers. Like she was.
Yeah, and Anakin himself was like 19, 20 at the time. He was barely an adult himself.
Yeah. Oh, McLeod here says that she also played the high school girl that chewed out Barbie in the Barbie. Oh, I didn't realize that.
I did not see the Barbie movie. It's on Amazon Prime. I might check that out.
Now that you say that though, I know it. Now I see it. I'm like, okay, yeah, she definitely did.
I gotta look out for it.
Cool. So it says here, Ragu says this version of Anakin from the World Between Worlds is through Ahsoka's vision. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me. Yes, I knew this. I knew that, Ragu. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Oh, look. So Ariana has acted with 2 Skywalkers. That's true, actually.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I enjoyed all of that. Now, you said that you would like to see a live action Clone Wars now that you've seen
it. After all this, I'll just think, because I watch Clone Wars so much, because usually I'll watch like an episode of Clone Wars like pretty much after I get off work or while I'm eating dinner or whatever. I'll just put on either Star Trek or Clone Wars or something, whatever. And yeah, just going through the entire, because over the course like maybe like a month or two, you'll go through like the entire season, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, just watching this, it was like what I wouldn't give for a live action Clone Wars at this point.
Let me tell you, some people we talked about this also. Some people were knocking the de-aging technology on Anakin, on Hayden Christensen. I thought it was really good.
It was fine. I didn't even realize that. It just kind of looked like they just ripped them right out of like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So,
you know what I think? I find it really funny that there's a complaint about a de-aging technology in series where they use VFX for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Also,
what are you complaining about there?
Yeah, really.
There's VFX for everything.
And speaking of visual effects, because I think someone else pointed this out. I think I was watching a TikTok. Somebody else pointed this out, so it's not me. He was basically saying that during those flashback scenes, the clone troopers and the other actors in the background, they were actually there. Those were practical effects that they were doing, not just all. Of course, it was probably augmented by some CGI here and there, but most of that was all practical effects.
Really? I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Speaking of that, though, all those scenes looked really good. I was very shocked at how well it looked, because it looked like it was ripped straight out of the animated series.
Yeah.
Put into live action. And what are your thoughts overall about the Anakin stuff in general? Do you think it was handled really well? Did you like the nods to Darth Vader? There's a lot of people talking about the scene where she was like seeing the flashes where Anakin was Vader
walking towards him, and then flashed the Vader and back. I was like, oh, I absolutely love that. It was so well done. It basically kind of had like not really a conflict between Anakin. It's basically more like a conflict from Ahsoka's point of view, is basically how she of course knows that Vader is Anakin Skywalker, and she probably has some guilt as to where if she would have stayed around, could she have prevented his fall? Could she have prevented him from turning into this monster? Who knows? So it's like the whole him going back and forth between Vader and Anakin was so good to me.
So that brings us to the Ahsoka element here, because we spend a lot of time in this world between worlds with Ahsoka and dealing with like the past that she's gone through as a character over the years. One of the criticisms we saw early on, even all the way back when Ahsoka was in The Mandalorian, was that she was too stoic. She was too wooden. She was too stilted. She didn't have a lot of emotion. And we get to see that this has affected her. Yeah, everything that's happened to her between like the first time we met her all the way through her, the animated features up till now has turned her into someone that feels this way. And this is why she treats Sabine the way she does, because of how Anakin treated her. And this makes sense. It makes sense from the standpoint of how a character deals with trauma.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Especially after everything that happened between especially if you've seen the end of Clone Wars, the clones that she trained with her pretty much her entire life betray her, and then she has to kill pretty much most of them. And I forgot when they showed Commander Rex, Captain Rex. I was like, oh my god, Captain Rex. But anyway, so getting back to Ahsoka, it's kind of like what was I saying again? I forgot.
I don't know.
No, there's so much.
I adjusted my mic. Let me know if my mic sounds better, everybody. They were saying it was low, so I want to make sure it sounds okay.
No, but anyway, it's I forgot what I was about to say. But anyway, I'll just go off on something else. But it's kind of like her being withdrawn and everything. Yeah, especially after going through all of that, especially in being betrayed by her own commander, her own like command. Especially if you've seen like the some of the clone troopers with the orange on their helmets, that was kind of a nod to her. Which, if you would have watched the last few seasons of Clone Wars, you would have seen them. You would have seen that take place. So going through all that, she probably just withdrawn and became more reserved and probably tried to act more like a true Jedi. And that's why when we see her in The Mandalorian, she's like so kind of like stone-faced, rigid. And now that she went through all that, got all that out of the way, worked through her trauma, now she's her old self again.
We also have this thing that I've noticed a lot. Well, two parts here. I've got 2 points to make. Number one is that we have a group of people that when they watch media like this, they don't understand that there's time that passes from the last time you saw a character to when you see them in present. And you need to sort of give them an opportunity to I hear some music playing in the background there.
Oh, that's me typing. I don't know about music.
But time passes between the last time you saw them and now, then you have to assume that they have changed as a person. I can tell you right now, a decade of time is a big amount of time for someone.
This is, I think at the end of Clone Wars, Ahsoka was probably like around 17, 18-ish or so. Correct. I'm sure someone's going to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And now when we see in The Mandalorian, she's close to 40, close to like her early to mid 40s, maybe. Yeah. So between that time, there's a lot that happened. So she probably just became more withdrawn as time went on.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the other thing is also stop judging characterization when you've only seen a couple of episodes of a series. That is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. I used to do it back in the day. You should not do that. And let me explain why. We're watching a show through a series of episodes. Once the season is over, if you feel like the character's journey wasn't good, or you want to talk about how they didn't go from point A to point B, or whatever your argument is, you have the full picture at that point.
Yeah, once it's all said and done, then you can make a judgment call. Of course, you can have like an opinion, like as of now, I'm not really liking where this is going, but to see where this goes. You can have that kind of attitude towards it. That's fine and cool. But if you're like midway through, or like maybe 4 or 5 episodes into like a 10 episode series, like this is stupid, I ain't watching this BS. And it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like you could easily say I don't like the way they're portraying her right now, but to act like that's the way she's going to be the whole time,
throughout the whole
without
time,
seeing the whole series is stupid.
Yeah, come on.
It's
now if they do that throughout, say like you said, if you went through like 10 episodes or whatever, and she stays this whole character out the whole way, then yes, I don't like that either.
Fair enough. Then you can go, I didn't like the way she was portrayed. She was too stoic throughout the whole series. But that's not the case, because we see here, once she comes out of the world between worlds, she's a different character. She's wearing the white, like you said, it was a nod to Gandalf.
We were speaking before. It was like, was there anything like within Star Wars before that? I was like, nope, this is probably just a nod to Lord of the Rings. She went, fought her Balrog, came back as Ahsoka the White.
Yeah. And she's different. Her the way her demeanor, her emotional state,
it's kind of like she's back to her old self again.
It's like a weight was lifted off of her after this moment. And that's what they were doing with the show, which is why I'm like, stop judging stuff so statically with such a putting your foot in the sand about something before it gets to that point.
Yeah, especially if you're going to watch content to like do a review like we're doing. Of course, you can give your opinion as of where the point is right now, but give it some time to actually plan out. Now, when it all comes out, if it's bad, of course, roast it. But if it comes out and it's all good, it's like, oh, it was this way before, but now we have an explanation as to why she was at this point. Now
getting mad about the way the character is on episode 2 when it's a full series is like, what are you doing? Seriously?
Yeah, really.
So here we go. This is another good point from McLeod. I love how the episode really highlighted the fact that Ahsoka in live action was basically a child soldier, something we lose focus on because she was voiced as an adult in the Clone Wars. Yeah. Yeah. See, Cody said she was 17.
Just about
so,
17. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, she was barely an adult at that time.
So it's just weird that people didn't understand that there was a journey to be made here on the show. It is called Ahsoka. And yes, we were talking about how Sabine seems to be a very prominent character, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, the show is Ahsoka. We knew we were going to get something.
It was kind of just setting up, and we didn't know that, okay, because I didn't even realize that Sabine was even remotely force sensitive. But actually, there was a interview that someone did with Dave Filoni a while back, saying he was basically saying that everyone's a little bit force sensitive. Everyone can be trained as a Jedi. It's just your midichlorian count determines how far you go with that. So it's kind of like, say you're like a musician, you're a drummer or whatever. If you have natural talent and didn't learn any music or anything, you'll only go but so far. That's kind of how Anakin is. He's very talented. And with training, he became amazing. Or like you take someone who's just, hasn't trained a day in their life. If they train hard enough, they can become as good as Anakin was, but it's not going to come to them as easily. So that's why, I guess that's why she started training Sabine. It's kind of making up her own little Jedi Order, probably alongside Luke or something. And I think someone in the comments mentioned it would have been good to see exactly how she met Luke.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that would have been cool too, just kind of to see how that relationship happened.
Yeah. We have a super chat here from Cody, a $10 super chat, any Team Airrick member. Thank you so much, Cody. I saw some things today. People are missing the point of the lesson, and Omega can probably agree with me on this, but the end of Rebels is now probably confirmed to be after this.
Yes. Because
okay, explain.
The very last scene of Rebels, you see Ahsoka looking at the mural on Lothal, and she's kind of has like the white hood and the staff. She's like looking up at it, like smiling at it, and then just walks away. That scene was probably well after the events of Ahsoka.
Okay.
Again, what kind of comes to storytelling is probably not a linear storytelling.
Okay, that makes sense. So thank you so much, Cody. I'm really excited because I am going back and watching some of the stuff, but I'm not
definitely watch Rebels. So I would say watch maybe the first few episodes of maybe the first few seasons of Clone Wars. You could probably skip some stuff in the middle. A lot of it's filler. It's still good, but a lot of it's just filler. But if you really want to know what's going on in Ahsoka, skip past some of that stuff and then go like the last two, season 7 and 8 of Clone Wars, and of course watch all the Rebels. Then you're good.
Yeah. We're going to get to your super chat in just a minute, Silhouetted, because that's a question that can come up after we finish with the episode. So just stick around. We'll talk about that. All right, let's talk a little bit about Jason now. This is the storyline with him and Hera and them looking for Ahsoka at this point. And we talked about this earlier about him being a force user or just being force sensitive, and you said force sensitive is the correct term for him. So explain the difference in force sensitive and a force user, what that would mean.
Force is just when it comes to training. Force sensitive is you're just more in tune with the force than most people are, because like I said, everyone's in tune with the force somewhat. It's just the people with the high midichlorian count are more attuned than others. Now, force user is someone who has been trained either by Jedi, Night Sister, Sith, whomever. They're trained in the Force and can wield it to suit their needs.
So, can someone who is force sensitive, can they actually become a Jedi, or are they just never capable of? Oh, they can.
No, they can. Yeah, kind of like what I went before. Everyone's capable of becoming a Jedi. It's just your talent kind of determines how easy or how difficult that is for you.
Right. Got it. Okay,
that's something I just realized.
I've seen a whole thing about the Hera and Jason's storyline being the weaker part of the series. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I get it, because they really didn't go on to they really didn't mention anything. They just said like Jason's just Hera's kid, and Hera's a Twi'lek, and this kid is obviously human. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? Well, the father is Jane, and is God, what's this guy's name? I always forget his, because he had two different names.
Silhouette Animator says you just got to get some midichlorians and instant Jedi.
Kind of.
While you look that up, McLeod says, I love how this episode also gave us a glimpse of how much more powerful and sheer brute force Darth Vader could be if he had won his duel against Obi-Wan on Mustafar.
Yeah, okay, Kanan Jarrus, that's his name. Yeah, it's basically Kanan Jarrus' kid.
Okay. 3Dub, I saw you commenting over on the Facebookage, so thank you so much for being over there. If Jason becomes a Jedi, I hope he gets away from Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, oh, God, which is why I hate the sequel Star Wars movies. But yeah, Kanan Jarrus also...
Like, once the series is over, we need to do entire stream on the sequel movies.
Oh, God.
I think there's a lot to talk
about. Am I going to have to watch Rise of Skywalker? Ugh.
Yeah, we'll have to watch all of them again. So probably.
Okay, yeah. So basically, because it was Kanan Jarrus, which everyone knows him as, but he was also his real name was Caleb Doom. That's why I got so confused. But so yeah, him and Hera kind of got together near the end of Rebels, and Hera was pregnant with his kid when he died. Spoilers. So, and you actually see him at the very end of Rebels when he's like maybe 3 or 4 or whatever. So in this one, he's about 7 or 8-ish or so. So he's again a child of a Jedi, like Luke was, very high midichlorian count, very in tune with the Force. So he can kind of just sense these things.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's basically the child of a Jedi.
But that was the majority of the bulk of the episode. But then at the end, we get some Carson Teva, which I love. That character, and how he was just annoyed by all of this Jedi nonsense.
Like, look, I'm just a captain here. This stuff that's way over my head. I'm just middleman here.
It's orders, and she's like, "No, that's why we're here. It was not orders." And he's like, "Well, no, these are top secret orders." It's like
you try to play it off like this is some top secret mission that only Hera knows about. It's like, all right, look, here's what the F's going on. Some weird Jedi shit. I don't know.
Right.
You may want to get out of these things way.
And this is also because Ahsoka has decided that the is it Purgils or Purgols? How is it pronounced? Purgols?
I heard it Purgils. I don't think either's probably correct. I don't know.
That she wants to go to the other galaxy using these squid whales, basically. And I wasn't sure in the animated series. Does it show how they use warp?
Yep. Exactly how they did in the it's 1 for 1 from the
that was so cool. I have to say that whole
if you watch Rebels, that it was not near the end. I think that episode when he first gets introduced to him, I want to say that's near the middle of the season or middle of the series or whatever. And this one is pretty much 1 for 1 how they do their whole hyperspace jump.
That's really awesome. I really enjoyed that. Now her talking to one of them. Is that what that is? It was just more of like the
because especially God, what's the kid's name again?
Jason.
No, not Jason. Ezra Bridger. Holy shit. Ezra Bridger. His whole thing is that he can communicate with animals. He can make this connection with animals like very easily. Even Janin couldn't do that. So even throughout, he was communicating with Loth cats, the Loth wolves later on, and all other animals. So once you get to the episode when the Purgos are introduced, he communicates with them because the Empire was kind of shooting the Purgos too, because it was the Empire was mining their feeding grounds. So he communicates to them. He insists he basically gets their help to push out the Empire from this asteroid field or whatever.
Right.
And then later on in the series, you see a fleet of them again when he's fighting Thrawn, and he asks for their help to fight against Thrawn, and that's where they just warp to wherever they went.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right.
I want to say that was near the end. Yeah, that was like near the end of Rebels.
And now we talked about the psychometry or whatever it was called. I looked up the word earlier, where you can touch an object and kind of see things. Is that something that Jedis can normally do, or is that something?
That's something that was actually introduced in Fallen Order.
Okay.
I guess all Jedis can do it. It was a gameplay mechanic, kind of like a storytelling mechanic within Fallen Order. You'll like go to a point and kind of like read what happened there, and you get like either force points or an extra health bar or extra skill points, whatever. It's kind of just like a gameplay mechanic, which they end up making into expanding upon more into the this series.
Okay, we're gonna go through the Easter eggs now. I really enjoyed this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of the season, and that's coming from somebody who didn't even really watch a lot of the other things.
Okay.
But what were you gonna say?
Oh no, somebody Fatman mentions that it's a rare power. Apparently Quillen Volus, Kyle Kestis, and Ray can do it. So it's not so it's not a force power that's readily available to most Jedi. Apparently,
Okay.
I didn't know. I thought it was something they just expanded upon. So okay,
all right, cool.
That's
Thanks, Fatman. I appreciate it. So here's some of the Easter eggs, and you guys in the chat can chime in on this as well. So there was a Storm over Rylith episode Easter egg. Apparently, the first scene we see a young Ahsoka. It occurs in episode 19 of the first season of the Clone Wars, and that conversation has something to do with what happens in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked that up, and to me, it seems like maybe it's just an allegory or a parallel to that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen it mentioned in several places, including places like Reddit, which, you know, Reddit's not very reliable, but that was one of the things that was dropped on it. Obviously, the Siege of Mandalore. Now, you talked about the Siege of Mandalore taking place at the end of the series.
Yeah, end of Clone Wars. Near the end.
This
like
is
season
after
7,
this is after the assassination of Satine. Mm-hmm. When Maul took over Mandalore in a desperate attempt to recover the planet. Bo-Katan, joined by Ahsoka, asked the Republic for help. And that was part of a big storyline in the Clone Wars. Did you watch that one? Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah. I know that episode very well because that had one of the best dialogue and the best fight scenes in pretty much all of Star Wars. It was between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, where they just kind of going back and forth. Because even the voice actor and the motion capture, Sam Witter, for Darth Maul, he's like nerding out about this too, because he's kind of like saying like how when you in the scene you see how, of course, Ahsoka's much shorter than Darth Maul, but in the scene they're like right on equal ground. It's like neither one's like budging an inch, and then you see them both kind of attack each other. He's using his strength, she's using her athletics against him. It's kind of like an even fight until like someone else joins in and kind of turns the tables to Ahsoka's side or something. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Now,
that's right. I had it backwards. Sam Wood is the voice actor, and Ray Park was the.
Okay.
I had it backwards.
Okay, so this is the one that I was the most excited about was the Mandalorian Super Commandos, which was the odd-looking horned Mandalorians. The group of Mandalorians joined Maul after he defeated Pre Vizsla. I think it's is it
I always pronounce it Pre Vizsla. I heard it both ways, so I think either's correct.
In a duel, and took the dark saber from him, and this would follow him until his defeat.
That was a sick fight too,
putting it into the Siege of Mandalore. So those were really cool looking characters as well. So we had the 332nd Company, and that was the clones with the orange paint on their helmets. And it's a division of the 501st Legion that painted their helmets in honor of
that was kind of a nod to Ahsoka, because they all knew that she left the Jedi Order, but she was so respected by them. There was like they had like a special group that was specifically like in homage to her.
Yeah. Now these were all clone troopers, right? They were still clone troopers at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get stormtroopers till well after this point in time.
Yeah. So Lord Genome here says looking forward to some E6 Shin and Sabine combo.
Oh, because Shin still wants that smoke. It was baiting. I was like, nope, don't do anything to her. She has my word that she's not going to come to any harm. Chill out. Shin still wants that smoke though.
Let's see what else we have here. I think that's pretty much it. There might have been some other Easter eggs, obviously, in the scenes that were some of the old Clone Wars stuff done in live action that I might have missed, but those were the ones that stood out to me. So, look, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Same.
This was a 10 out of 10 episode to me. I don't think it gets much better than this. I know we still have some stuff left, but this one to me, if you were a fan of the older stuff, this had to hit the mark for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think,
like I said, when they showed,
this is really good.
Yeah, like I said earlier, as soon as they showed Captain Rex, I was like, "Oh my god, Captain Rex was so cool."
Yeah, look, I haven't seen it.
I just read that too.
Rebels,
yeah, that's
but
cool.
Ahsoka's still understandable. Look, I feel the same way. I've watched very little of it, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So
yeah, if you haven't watched it, you still get it. And someone who's a nerd for this stuff is just seeing, you just get much more out of it. But still,
let me just say this: I see a lot of people using that as an excuse for why Ahsoka is a bad show, and I think it's very disingenuous because I didn't watch a lot of those other things, and I'm still enjoying Ahsoka. So I don't think that takes away from the quality for me, to be completely honest. So I'm having a good time with it. And so it's
exactly when he Strategy 3W, especially when he calls her Stips, I was like, oh god.
Yeah. All right, so you agree 10 out of 10 episode?
Yes,
Solid?
absolutely. 10,
Okay.
10, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Best episode. Yeah.
All right, so we have a question here from Silhouetted Animator, and then we're going to do our final stuff and wrap everything up here. So Silhouetted Animator with a $5 super chat. Do you think that Star Wars Disney Plus shows have consistent quality, more so than Marvel? Okay, so that's two different questions. We'll answer both of them. The movies are clearly mixed, but every Star Wars show is solid. So I will say for me, I was not a huge fan of the Boba Fett show. I didn't think that was great.
It really didn't get good until it became Mandalorian season 3.5.
Yeah. So for me, I don't think there's a consistent quality. I would also argue that for me, I think Obi-Wan wasn't the highest quality show.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was fine. It wasn't great.
But all the other ones I've really enjoyed. I think there is a lot of high quality. I love the animated stuff. There's like the Star Wars Visions or whatever. Those are really good as well. So I enjoyed that. As far as more so than Marvel, it's a hard comparison because I think there's more Marvel shows than there is Star Wars shows.
You have a more baseline when it comes to Marvel, but I have to say I'm not really liking a lot of the Marvel stuff lately because with Secret Invasion, it was fine.
Secret Invasion was very mid to me.
It
was very mid.
Because it built it up to be this whole thing, especially when it comes to Secret Wars, which was a big thing in the comics, and here was just kind of like a side story almost. So
you know why like Secret Wars was a problem for me is because I was on board with it being like a spy thriller series.
Yeah.
But then at the end they turned it into typical like I'm going to give you a superhero battle at the end of this, even if it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
And they took forever to get to it, and it was a really expensive series to make, which I don't know where all the money went, to be completely honest.
Visual effects,
I guess, but
and Samuel L. Jackson.
So for me, that was probably the weakest live action show was Secret Invasion, which is, it sucks because I think it had a lot of potential. However,
Sam deserved better.
I would say for me, I would have to pick the best Star Wars show versus the best Marvel show. And for me, the best Star Wars show is Mandalorian. I think that's the best show. It's had the most seasons, obviously. And for me, I think one of the best Marvel shows for me personally would probably be, gosh, it's tough. Maybe Loki. I think Loki was a really strong Marvel show. So if you compare those two, they're very different types of shows. I would say on rewatchability, I think Mandalorian is a better rewatch.
Because it's a lot of it's so episodic. You could just kind of watch it as if it was like, say, a Star Trek episode or whatever. You could pick up from anywhere and still be.
And we can revisit Loki versus Mandalorian when Loki season 2 comes out, which is very soon. So we'll get it'll be a better comparison. Because right now we don't have multiple seasons of Marvel shows to really compare at the moment. So I love Andor. I think Andor is the great. Andor is the most adult oriented show.
And I get where people say like how they were saying how Ahsoka was a bit too cartoony at some points, but it's kind of like and I get that. It's like I would love for like a more grounded, like a more basically like a more grounded, more adult.
4 months worth of reshoots. Like, look, this is the problem. They went in and did a bunch of stuff and. They made some mistakes. I think for me, one of the biggest missteps that Marvel has made in a long time is Secret Invasion. I think it was probably the biggest misstep. And I didn't mind it. In the beginning, I enjoyed it. And then about the halfway point, I started to see sort of diminishing returns on investment in the show. And I was
it was fine at the beginning. Then like mid-season, it was like, okay, what's going on? Yeah, whatever. Because I was watching while I was like at work or whatever. I just like, screw whatever. I just started concentrating on what I was doing. Yeah,
I totally get it. Anyway, so that's going to be it for tonight's stream. We were going to do a couple other topics, but we didn't expect to be on a Sunday. I was expecting to do this last night, so we'll wait. Have you watched One Piece yet, by the way, on Netflix?
I'm not a fan of One Piece. Like, look.
Wait, did you watch the anime? Or
I don't like shonen battle anime. Look, the only shonen battle anime I really liked was Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Up to the Buu Saga, I tapped out. I am done. If I see another fucking anime where the main character is a kid in high school, I'm going to scream. Now, One Piece is a little different because, it's a young protagonist, which is fine, which I actually give One Piece a bit more respect because I just don't like the series.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the age of, Crying Freeman, Golgo 13, Ninja Scroll, where the main character is some 15-year-old kid.
Well, either way, it's doing really well. It's doing really well at the moment. A lot of people.
That's why I love Castlevania.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm calling Castlevania anime.
Castlevania is great. One thing I will say,
Mid-piece.
and I'm gonna force you to do this against your better interest.
Oh God!
Is when the Avatar live action Netflix series comes out, we have to watch it and review it. So,
because I'm actually watching through the Last Airbender, like for the 80th time. I think I'm on.
You remember the movie, right? The
M. Night
Shyamalan movie.
Jesus Christ, I hate you.
So let's go. We're gonna give this Netflix series a chance. Fist of the North Star is great, by the way. I love Fist of the North Star.
Amazing series.
You know what we should do? And in the chat, I want you to chime in. This is gonna be my last question before we go. Would you guys like a weekly anime chat podcast with myself and Omega and maybe some other guests? I could bring Cyber in, a few other people that watch anime. Would you guys be interested in that? Because I love anime, and we could totally just talk about any and all anime.
And like, I'm an old head, well, younger than him, but I'm an old head when it comes to anime. I like the older stuff, like before 2000.
No, I mean everything's on the table. I feel like it's definitely something we could do. Okay. So Kaiju number 13, the pro tag is 30, and yes. All right, well, there we go. All right, well, we'll talk about it. Maybe.
Yeah, I hear Arcane's pretty good, but I hate League of Legends and everything about it because League of Legends and the MOBA genre completely killed real-time strategy, and I love real-time strategy. I still play Command & Conquer to this day, but thanks to MOBA and League of Legends, like I don't want to freaking play League of Legends and be called a slur every 15 minutes while I'm trying to learn how to play the game. I played the game back in like 2000, what was like, I want to say 2005 or 6 or whatever. Got called the N-word. I don't know how many times. I was like, no, screw it. Screw this game. Screw it. Yeah. I'm done with the entire genre. The community's trash. I'm done. Anyway, that's my rant over.
Okay.
I hear Arcane's really good.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on this. I will brainstorm this, but we might start doing a either weekly or twice a month stream talking about like anime stuff, and we might even like bring in special guests for that. Maybe we'll work on that.
Maybe Drax already here one day.
Yeah. I mean, look, you guys don't understand. Like, my life before YouTube was like anime, cartoons, video games, like fighting games, things like that. That was my entire life before I started.
Oh, back when we used to just hang at the arcade. That's all we talked about.
So
remember arcades, kids?
Yeah, we can even talk about that. That'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna head out now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and stay tuned for the possible anime streams. I don't know what we're gonna call them, but it seems like that would be a lot of fun since people are interested in it. We can go back again, talk about old school stuff. I don't mind. It doesn't have to be modern. There's anime has so many things. Like we could spend years talking about anime. So it'd be a lot of fun.
That's expensive media.
Subscribe to Omega on here. Look at him up on DeviantArt. I don't know if you're still doing stuff on
I still do. I haven't made anything recently. I'm just kind of running into a writer's block, and I'm trying not to I've been making a little bit of smut here and there. I'm not just posting it, but no, seriously, I really haven't been making much. So, but the stuff that's there is still pretty good. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah. So check him out, and we will see you guys next week. If Pagey's not available, he will be my guest next week, and we will do an after party and talk about. We'll probably throw Ahsoka in and maybe talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, it's like usually I've been wanting to join those, but y'all usually talk about like all the CW stuff, and I don't watch it.
There's no CW stuff anymore, so there's
yeah.
So now it's all other things. Anyway.
Yeah, I may just pop in it.
Yeah, all right. See you.